So let's pick back up. Here, it's describing Teacake struggling with the symptoms of rabies. So Teacake, he leaped at the bucket at once, but this time, the sight of water was enough. He was on the kitchen floor in great agony when she returned. She petted him, soothed him, and got him back to bed. She made up her mind to go see about that medicine from Palm Beach. Maybe she could find somebody to drive over there for it. Feel better now, Teacake, baby chilly? Uh-huh, a little. Well, believe I'll rake up the front yard. The men's has got cane chewings and peanut hulls all over the place. Don't want the doctor to come back here and find it all still the same. Don't take too long, Janie. Don't like to be by myself when I'm sick. She ran down the road just as fast as she could. Halfway to town, she met Stop to Bottom and Dockery coming towards her. Hello, Janie. How's that Teacake? Pretty bad off. I'm going to see about medicine for him right now. Doctor told somebody he was sick, so has come to see. Thought something he never come to work. Y'all sit with him a while till I get back. He needs the company right long in here. She fanned on down the road to the town and found Dr. Simmons. Yes, he had an answer. They didn't have any serum, but they had wired Miami to send it. She needn't worry. It would be there early the next morning, if not before. People didn't fool around in a case like that. No, it wouldn't do for her to hire no car to go after it. Just go home and wait, that was all. When she reached the home, the visitors rose to go. When they were alone, Teacake wanted to put his head in Janie's lap and tell her how he felt, and let her mama him in her sweet way. But something Stop had told him made his tongue lie cold and heavy, like a dead lizard between his jaws. Mrs. Turner's brother was back on the muck, and now he had this mysterious sickness. People just didn't take sick like this for nothing. Janie, what is that Turner woman's brother doing back on the muck? I don't know, Teacake. Didn't even know he was back. According to my notion, you did. What'd you slip off from me just now for? Teacake, I don't like you asking me no such questions. That shows how sick you is, sure enough. Use jealousy, without me giving you cause. Well, what did you slip off from the house without telling me you was going? You ain't never done that before. That was because I was trying not to let you worry about your condition. The doctor sent after some more medicine, and I went to see if it'd come. Teacake began to cry, and Janie hovered him in her arms like a child. She sat on the side of the bed and sort of rocked him back to peace. Teacake, ain't no use you being jealous of me. In the first place, I couldn't love nobody but you. And in the second place, I was just an old woman that nobody don't want but you. Nah, you ain't neither. You only sound old when you tell folks when you was born. But with the eyes, you's young enough to suit most any man. That ain't no lie. I knows plenty more men that would take you and work hard for the privilege. I done heard 'em talk. Maybe so, Teacake, but I ain't never try to find out. I just know that God snatched me out the fire through you, and I loves you and feel glad. Thank you, ma'am, but don't say you's old. You's a little baby girl all the time. God made it so you spent your old age first with somebody else and saved up your young girl days to spend with me. I feel that way too, Teacake, and I thank you for saying it. Ain't no trouble to say what's already so. You's a pretty woman outside of being nice. Aw, thanks, Teacake. Yeah, you too. Every time I see a patch of roses or something over sporting themselves making out they are pretty, I tell him, I want you to see my Janie sometimes. You must let the flowers see you sometimes. Huh, Janie? You keep that up, Teacake. I'll believe you after a while, Janie said archly and fixed him back in bed. It was then she felt the pistol under the pillow. It gave her a quick, ugly throb, but she didn't ask him about it since he didn't say. Never had Teacake slept with a pistol under his head before. Never mind about all that cleaning round the front, he told her, as she was straightening up from the fixing bed. You stay here where I can see you. All right, Teacake, just as you say. And if Miss Turner's lap-legged brother come prowling by here, you can tell him I got him stopped with four-wheel brakes. Ain't no need of him standing around watching the job. I won't be telling him nothing, 'cause I don't suspect I'll see him. Teacake had 2 bad attacks that night. Janie saw a changing look come in his face. Teacake was gone. Something else was looking out of his face. She made up her mind to be off after the doctor with the first glow of day. She was up and dressed when Teacake awoke from the fitful sleep that had come to him just before day. He almost snarled when he saw her dressed to go. Where are you going, Janie? After the doctor, Teacake. You look too sick to be here in this. So let's pause right there and talk about how Teacake's sickness is developing. So Teacake is becoming more and more paranoid, which is, again, a symptom of rabies. And so he's paranoid that Janie is cheating on him with Miss Turner's brother. And he thinks this because Janie kind of sneaks off to get him medicine, but he thinks she's sneaking off to see another man. And so Janie confesses that she was trying to get him medicine, and Teacake becomes upset. If you put yourself in his position, this would be incredibly terrifying because these thoughts that he's having and these things that he's feeling are not at all within his personality, and he believes that a devil or a demon has essentially is taking over his body, and so he's very upset. And they say loving things to one another, which is a very sweet scene. But then that's juxtaposed immediately by when Janie finds a pistol under Teacake's pillow, which is another indication that he's growing more and more paranoid, and it creates this foreboding tone. Alright, let's pick back up. You're too sick to be here in this house without the doctor. Maybe we ought to get you to the hospital. I ain't going to no hospital nowhere. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Guess you tired of waiting on me and doing for me. That ain't the way I've been with you. I never is able to do enough for you. Teacake, you sick. You taken everything in the way. I don't mean it. I couldn't never be tired of waiting on you. I'm just scared you's too sick for me to handle. I want you to get well, honey, that's all. He gave her a look full of blank ferocity and gurgled in his throat. She saw him sitting up in the bed and moving about so that he could watch her every move. And she was beginning to feel fear of the strange thing in Teacake's body. So, when he went out to the outhouse, she rushed to see if the pistol was loaded. It was a 6-shooter, and 3 of the chambers were full. She started to unload it, but she feared he might break it and find out she knew. That might urge his disordered mind to action. If that medicine would only come. She whirled the cylinder so that if he did draw the gun on her, it would snap 3 times before it would fire. She would at least have a warning. She could either run or try to take it away before it was too late. Anyway, Teacake wouldn't hurt her. He was jealous and wanted to scare her. She'd just be in the kitchen as usual and never let on. They'd laugh over it when he got well. She found the box of cartridges, however, and emptied it. Just as well to take the rifle from the back of the head of the bed. She broke it and put the shell in her apron pocket and put it in the corner in the kitchen, almost behind the stove where it was hard to see. She could outrun his knife if it came to that. Of course she was too fussy, but it did not harm to play safe. She ought not to let poor Teacake do something that would run him crazy when he found out what he had done. So how is Teacake's paranoia growing? So Teacake is literally not letting Janie out of his sight, where he's kind of like looking at her as she's walking around the room. And this would be uncomfortable at best and really frightening at worst if you think about kind of like Janie's position right now. And so Teacake is acting this way because he thinks that Janie's trying to get rid of him, especially when she suggests going to the hospital. And so when Teacake goes to the outhouse, Janie checks the barrel of the pistol because she can tell that Teacake's becoming more and more kind of erratic and unlike himself. And she doesn't unload the pistol because she doesn't want him to kind of figure out like how worried and scared she is. So instead she makes it so that the gun will snap, or so she says snap 3 times before shooting, because it'll have kind of like 3 empty chambers before it gets to the bullet. So she reassures herself that Teacake wouldn't hurt her, however, and so she kind of tells herself that she's doing this in case he tries to hurt someone else, and she doesn't want him to have to deal with the guilt of what he's done once he's better. And so we can see that Janie's kind of starting to delude herself where she thinks that Teacake could get better despite the fact of what the doctor has told her. And so, ultimately, on this page, it's clear that Janie is worried, and she hides the rifle in the corner of the room and a shell in her apron in case she needs to do something. Janie, saw him coming from the outhouse with a queer, loping gait, swinging his head from side to side, and his jaws clenched in a funny way. That was too awful. Where was Dr. Simmons with that medicine? She was glad she was here to look after him. Folks would do such mean things to her Teacake if they saw him in such a fix. Treat Teacake like he was some mad dog when nobody in the world had more kindness about them. All he needed was for the doctor to come on with that medicine. He came back into the house without speaking. In fact, he did not seem to notice she was there, and fell heavily onto the bed and slept. Janie was standing by the stove washing up the dishes when he spoke to her in a queer, cold voice. "Janie, how come you can't sleep in the same bed with me no more?" "The doctor told you to sleep by yourself, Teacake. Don't you remember him telling you that yesterday?" "How come you'd rather sleep on the pallet than sleep in the bed with me?" Janie saw then that he had the gun in his hand that was hanging to his side. "Answer me when I speak." Teacake, honey, go lay down. I'll be too glad to be in there with you in a minute the doctor says so. Go lay back down. He'll be here with the new medicine right away." "Janie, I done went through everything to be good to you, and it hurt me to my heart to be ill-treated like I is." The gun came up unsteadily, but quickly, and leveled at Janie's breast. She noted that even in his delirium, he took good aim. Maybe he would point to scare her, that was all. The pistol snapped once. Instinctively, Janie's hand flew behind her on the rifle and brought it around. Most likely this would scare him off. If only the doctor would come, if anybody at all would come. She broke the rifle deftly and shoved in the shell as the second click told her that Teacake's suffering brain was urging him on to kill. "Teacake, put down that gun and go back to bed," Janie yelled at him as the gun wavered weakly in his hand. He steadied himself against the jamb of the door, and Janie thought to run into him and grab his arm, but she saw the quick motion of taking aim and heard the click, saw the ferocious look in his eyes, and went mad with fear as she had done in the water that time. She threw up the barrel of the rifle in a frenzied hope and fear, hope that he'd see it and run, desperate fear for her life. But Teacake could have counted costs, if Teacake could have counted costs, he would not have been there with the pistol in his hand. No knowledge of fear, nor rifles, nor anything else was there. He paid no more attention to the pointing gun than if it was Janie's dog finger. She saw him stiffen himself all over as he leveled and took aim. The fiend in him must kill, and Janie was the only living thing he saw. The pistol and the rifle rang out almost together. The pistol just enough after the rifle to seem its echo. Teacake crumpled as his bullet buried itself in the joist over Janie's head. Janie saw the look on his face and leaped forward as he crashed forward in her arms. She was trying to hover him as he closed his teeth in the flesh of her forearm. They came down heavily like that, Janie struggling to a sitting position and pried the dead Teacake's teeth from her arm. It was the meanest moment of eternity. A minute before she was just a scared human being fighting for its life. Now she was her sacrificing self, with Teacake's head in her lap. She had wanted him to live so much, and he was dead. No hour is ever eternity, but it has its right to weep. Janie held his head tightly to her breast and wept, and thanked him wordlessly for giving her the chance for loving service. She had to hug him tight, for soon he would be gone, and she had to tell him for the last time. Then the grief of outer darkness descended. So I'm going to pause right there, and then we're going to move on to our next video to see what happens after Teacake's death.